Boom, shakalaka boom. You tuned in to the free-range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. It's Monday. We are live here without a Super Bowl hangover on the Clay Edwards Show, streaming worldwide at Save JXN on Facebook, X, YouTube, Rumble, and TikTok. Of course, we're pumping all across the airwaves in central Mississippi on the Big Stick, 103.9 FM, WYAB. And like I said, we are streaming in stunning 4K video for everybody who's up this morning. You all should have been asleep about halftime based on how terrible that game last night was. So there shouldn't be too many Super Bowl hangovers this morning. If you're watching in stunning 4K video, it's the running joke around here.
Yeah.
If you're watching in video, man, you may see this fine young looking specimen across from me. This is Mr. Shuwaski Young, politician here in the state of Mississippi. We've been chatting back and forth for a little bit now. Finally got an opportunity to get him here in studio to chop it up with us a little bit this morning. We don't have a whole lot of direction. We're going to sit down. I told him just a second ago, I said, this isn't an interview. This is not an interview. This is two guys sitting on a bar stool chopping it up. And that's how we're going to look at this conversation today, like we look at all of them around here, kind of a long-form podcast, except with commercials. So hope everybody's doing good this morning. If you want to call in, you got any questions for myself or Mr. Young, the Mazda of Jackson phone line is 601-879-0002. The Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. Stay tuned. At the top of the 8 o'clock hour, we've got a concert announcement for you guys we're going to talk about. Something I'm doing myself. Should be fun, I hope. If it's not, I need to reevaluate what I'm doing with my life. But with that said, we got Mr. Shuwaski Young. I hope I'm saying your first name correct.
You are good, sir.
Good, sir. Good. Mr. Shuwaski Young, a former Democrat here in the state of Mississippi who flipped over to the Republican Party a couple months ago. And we were glad to have him. We are a big tent party here. I don't even know that I necessarily call myself a Republican. I mean, I am, for lack of a better term. I like conservative more than I like Republican.
Sure.
But I do have a lot of friends down there at the Mississippi GOP. The folks running it right now are really good people.
They are.
I love Rance a lot, and I love Mike a lot. They're good guys, and they're doing a great job. And, you know, I don't mind standing shoulder to shoulder with that crew.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about me, even before this newly found journey, I had always told people, you know, when they asked me, are you Republican or Democrat? I would ask them, well, you know, I like better for you to ask me what I believe in. And those have been the tenets that I've actually lived by. And now, you know, in this situation that we're in right now, I think it's truer than ever. Yeah,
I think another thing, too, is nationally, and I'm not talking about you necessarily, nationally it's very trendy to be a conservative this month, you know, coming out of the big election and the way Donald Trump won. I think a lot of people are saying, I'm not calling people grifters for wanting to jump over, but I think it's easier now than it was 3-4 years ago, even a year ago.
Sure it is.
After the train wreck of the last 4 years, people are like, I want off this ride.
Yeah.
It's safe to get off this ride now without being completely demonized as racist, bigot, homophobe, transphobe, insurrectionist, you know, all those things they like to call conservatives. Yeah. So, and some of us have been here for a long time, but, you know, we won the way we did because we're a big tent and we welcome folks as long as they're, you know, honest, and that's the way you really feel. And I understand when you got to be a Democrat in certain areas too. I get how it works. I grew up in Jackson until 3 years ago. You're not going to win anything with the R by your name in Jackson. Right. If you want to play the game, you got to have a D by your name in Jackson.
Yeah, a lot of folks play that game by just saying, I'm an independent. You know, but people know what that means.
They do. Yeah. They do. I mean, look, there's a couple people who can play that. And they understand that's why they got to do it. Yeah. But people know, you know, if you're an independent in a heavy D district, you're a Republican,
pretty much,
and vice versa.
Absolutely.
So I mean, it is what it is. We need both. I'm not a fan of too much of either. You need the yin, you need the yang. Yeah. And on paper we don't have that down at the Capitol. On paper we have a very red state. But well, actually, I guess on paper it's purple. Maybe I'm saying that wrong. In theory, we have, based on the way we elected folks, if we're looking at R's and D's, we have a super red majority. On paper, we have a very purple state, which is very frustrating that we can't get some of the things through that we should because you have a bunch of white liberals down there pretending to be Republicans. So I think somebody said it best, that when everybody's a Republican, nobody's a Republican.
That's interesting. Well, one of the things I will say is that, you know, throughout, you know, my time in Mississippi politics, and probably before not being in the Republican Party, many of the folks that I had ran into who were Democrats across the state, some elected officials who I won't mention by name, when you sit down and you actually talk to them about what they actually believe in, the stark difference between what they believe as a Mississippian, someone born, raised, and more likely educated within Mississippi, and what the national party actually puts forth through a charter and, this policy system of what you actually must advocate for, runs counterintuitive to what people actually believe in Mississippi. And for me, that was one of the biggest things that I found to be, problematic for myself. And I think that that's what we're still dealing with within the state right now.
It's very top down with Democrats.
100%. 100%. It's these are the policies in which we want people to talk about, and that we say that we actually believe in, they actually believe in, throughout the entire country. And that varies from state to state. No state really has the full autonomy to be able to talk about what's most important to locals in that particular state. What are the issues that are going to make the state better? What are the issues that people really care the most about in the state? It's this national, far left, progressive agenda. It's not even liberalism anymore. It's literally all progressive.
It's bastardized the word liberalism.
Yeah.
Being a liberal should be a good thing by definition of the word liberal.
One would think.
And progressive for that matter.
One would think.
But that's
not what we have, though.
The left has done a really good job of hijacking words.
Yeah.
And making them things that nobody wants to be. Like, I don't mind being quasi-progressive and looking to the future and trying to be forward-thinking. I think that's the way you need to be so you can progress as a society. Like, by definition, being progressive shouldn't be bad, but the left's version of definition is men can be women, women can be men, and we have to buy into all this tomfoolery that nobody wants to partake in.
It oversees absolute common sense.
It does.
Right.
It's like left is right, right is left, and up is down, down is up.
Well, one of the things that was really interesting, I think a few weeks ago, I think the DNC just elected its new national chairs and things of that nature.
I watched that that crap show.
I watched it with someone who I had talked to about, why the party is so messed up. And I said, well, if you want an example, let's watch the DNC chair meeting, because one of the things I know for sure is this is a room of people that actually absolutely believe that they are smarter than everyone else, right? Okay. And to the point to where they actually outsmart themselves. So you had this actual agenda being put forth where, we can't just pick based on merit. The DEI, this ties right into DEI and things of that nature. We can't just pick based on merit of who we want to be able to represent us and why. We got to make sure that we actually have a gender quota that's met first. And totally messed up the entire situation. Robert's rules of order were just thrown out of the entire window, and you wonder why things are disorganized.
Well, what I gathered watching that, and I was going to play some clips of it on the show. I've actually got them saved in my bookmarks on X cool. From last week and never got around to it. I'll pull them up here in a minute. But it let me know that the Democrat brass still don't understand why they lost this election.
No, they don't. No.
I mean, it is. I heard, "Shut up, a black woman's talking."
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I heard we've got to have a non-binary balance, gender breaker here. Sure. If there's 3 men, 3 women, there's got to be a seventh. There's got to be a non-binary to be a male
or female,
vote or
and then
whatever.
Male or female after that.
Yeah.
It's no one can figure this stuff out. And then number 2, it is alienating.
Can anybody even tell me legitimately? And this ain't me trying to play gotcha games with you.
Sure.
What is non-binary?
Generally speaking, it has been
as a human.
Well, we do know that, hopefully.
Yeah.
Right. But generally speaking, it has been someone who basically does not identify to gender conforming ideological norms and understanding. Right.
Yeah, so. I think that's really what America wants to get back to is normal.
Common sense, man.
Just common sense. Yeah. I had I don't know if you're familiar with a state senator from up north Mississippi, Chad McMahon.
I have heard of him. I think he had put a few bills on the floor this past session.
Yeah, Chad was in here. He put forth a bill last week, and of course, all these common sense bills seem to be dying in committee, except school choice. Another conversation for another day. But all these normal bills seem to die in committee, and he had one that was for teachers in Mississippi, public school teachers, to only be able to teach that there's a male and a female, 2 genders. That's a common sense bill for me. Like the fact we're even having to have a bill like that, it is a whole nother conversation. But why does that bill die in committee?
Right.
But my point about Chad is he does a bunch of common sense stuff. He was on this show, and I have a very common sense audience, meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
and they loved him. This guy just talks in common sense language. And I've never gotten more feedback about a politician on this show than I have that, because he just came here and just called balls and strikes. And that's what
people want.
That's what they want.
That's what they want. And that has been something that, I struggled with for so long, because you're unable to call balls and strikes in a organization where everyone is tempered by this quote unquote progressive language that no one understands and folks in Mississippi don't simply believe.
Correct.
Right. And not being able to stand up for what you actually believe in, whether we're talking about abortion, whether we're talking about homosexuality or transgender, norms and things of that nature, trying to be part of the broader aspect of traditional society when they are not, and trying to make that be accepted. So I appreciate that.
Well, one of the things I'm on the homosexual thing, like most people do not care.
They don't.
Like I'm not offended by your homosexuality. No. But another thing that does grind my gears a little bit,
I bet I know what you're about to say,
is when they use this polling to say that majority of Americans agree with gay marriage. I don't believe that.
I don't believe that either.
I don't agree that the majority of Americans agree with gay marriage. I think what's happened is a majority of Americans are tired of hearing about it. Right. Go be married.
Right.
We don't care. Not caring and agreeing are not the same thing.
They are not the same. Well, two things I'll say on that. One, I agree with you. I do not think the majority of Americans agree on gay marriage. Even prior, before the argument actually got put forth into law by the Supreme Court, probably was in 2015, there was this conversation which I sided on as far as how it's being identified in the language, right? Because marriage is generally identified between a man and a woman. Yeah. We all know that, right? But there's this idea of, rights and liberties and things of that nature, being able to use insurance and things of that nature. And how
wheels and, what's
sure.
left,
that's your business, how you want to set
Sure.
up your business. But most folks thought it should have been identified as a civil union. I, for one, actually did as well, too. Right? Because I don't think that actually is a fitting definition for what we have taking place. Now, of course, that's not the law of the land now, but that's where people actually get, I think, a little upset by it. And it's also this idea of, sure, I don't care who you're with and what you do in the privacy of your own home or bedroom, or even if you're out in public together, fine. But you don't have to flaunt it in our faces as if like this is normal traditional behavior in which we want kids to be able to see and be exposed to in schools and be exposed to even on TV when they're watching the Disney Channel.
I'm glad we jumped down this rabbit hole, because it's gonna. I'm going to play this little segment from the DNC since we teased it.
Yeah.
After that, we're going to go to a break. But when we come back, I want to circle back to that, because I don't get a whole lot of opportunity to talk to black men on this show a lot.
Yeah.
And I grew up in Jackson. I was always the minority, so I grew up in a lot of houses with my black friends, their parents, their grandparents, and I know how conservative the black family
100%.
truly is.
100%.
But they can't get out from under this Democrat death cult.
Yeah.
And I want to talk to you about that and how the views versus reality don't line up.
Sure.
And kind of how you've overcome that. Let's listen to this real quick before we go to break here, because this is from the DNC. This is them trying to pick a vice president or a VP or something along those lines. And I think they landed on the nut job David Hogg, of all people. Yeah. The gun activist.
And Malcolm Kenyatta.
And Malcolm Kenyatta, that's right. So
absolutely.
This is just further explaining how the Democrats are nowhere near taking back the White House, and probably going to further lose the House and the Senate in 2 years, because they have not understood why they got their butts whooped the way they did in November. Why is this up? Hold on, sorry. Where's the mute button? Well, it would help if I had the right channel on. There we go. Sorry, man. It's Monday morning. Let's do this again.
Tell me about it.
The rules specify that when we have a gender non-binary candidate or officer, the non-binary individual is counted as neither male nor female, and the remaining 6 offices must be gender balanced.
Now, for those listening here, on the screen, they've got this list of these pronouns, I guess they are, and it's theirs, them, their, her, they, she, his, ze, xe, they, them, zim, hers, they, xey, him, and he.
The results of the previous 4 elections, our elected officers are currently 2 male and 2 female. In order to be gender balanced, we must elect 1 male, 1 female, and 1 person of any gender.
Now, I'm not going to go any further here.
It's
he doesn't even believe this. He's reading it off a script.
This is Harris in the past chair.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one even knows what it means.
He doesn't know what it means.
No.
Some white liberal wrote this and said, here's your talking points. Go read it.
And they kept coming up telling him what to say, how to follow this order. He had the parliamentarian sitting there with him right on the stage and didn't even use the person until it was too late. And then coming back trying to, it was ridiculous. It was hard to watch.
It is. All right, let's take a break. We got Shuwaski Young here in the studio with me. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back on 103.9 FM WYAB. If you got any questions, if you're watching on the live stream, drop them in the comments. We'll be sure to get to them. If you're not watching online, you listen to the radio. The Guns and Gear text line 769-241-1944. Mazda of Jackson phone line 601-879-0002. And I don't expect any of y'all to remember any of those numbers. I don't know how I do, but we'll tell them to you another dozen times today. So write it down next time. We'll be right back. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show, live here on WYAB. This segment brought to you by our good friends. How about our good friends over at Juniker Jewelry, where I will be broadcasting live this Friday. For the first time ever, we're taking the morning show on the road, and we'll be at Juniker Jewelry right there in Madison, right on Highland Colony Parkway, right next to Madison Central High School. They're going to have all kind of great deals going for you at Juniker Jewelry. We'll be there, set up, taking the studio on the road. I can't tell you how excited I am for this opportunity. From 7 to 9, I want y'all to come by. It's Valentine's Day. That's right, fellas. It's Valentine's Day. You thought we were going to let you forget here on the Clay Edwards Show? Ladies, I know we have a large female audience, too. It's Valentine's Day. Men like jewelry, too. That's right. We do like to bling ourselves. A little flossy. Swing by. No, I'm picking. Not really. I do like jewelry. I just don't wear any because I can't afford it. But anyway, I digress. Come out there, fellas. Look, it's Valentine's. Come get your girl a little something special. Let them know you love them. And we'll be there. Come hang out with me. Sean will be there with me. That's right, Sean Yerkrun will be on the road with me, just like he was yesterday out there at the live remote that we did from Cypress Point for the Super Bowl. We'll tell you more about that later. But make plans this Friday morning. Juniker Jewelry, Highland Colony in Madison, the Clay Edwards Show, live, on location for Valentine's. There'll be all sorts of specials. We'll be telling you about them throughout the week. So buckle up and come plan to spend a little money with a great locally owned sponsor right there at Juniker Jewelry. All right, man. Here in the studio, we've got Shuwaski Young, a newly minted conservative here in the state of Mississippi. Well, officially anyway. Come over from the dark side. I've always considered myself like I love wrestling and I love movies. I've always considered myself like I always like the bad guy. So I'm more like, welcome to the dark side.
Yeah.
Welcome to the dark side. We're the good guys, like Stone Cold Steve Austin, and we're the good guys over here.
I grew up watching wrestling as well. Yeah. That was one of the things that on Monday night or Saturday morning, like I knew it would be coming on TV because we didn't always have a satellite back in the day.
Sure.
In Knoxville,
get a little closer to the mic. If you can.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, or you can bring it to you, whatever you need to do.
Okay, well, good deal. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
And we watch it on Saturday morning and on Monday nights and stuff like that. So,
How old are you, Shuwaski?
I'm 42.
Well, I'm 47. We're just a couple years apart there. So we're same. You're more millennial because I'm right on the right end of Gen X. But 6 one way, half dozen the other.
Oh man,
we're still part of that last generation that grew up on bicycles and no internet.
Right.
And we're the first generation to have internet.
Exactly. Right. I was just talking with someone the other day and how much kids today are missing out on what it was like for us growing up in Mississippi, where everybody had access to the Mississippi Public Broadcasting channel, for example. Mississippi Roads and all those.
Loved
stuff
it, man. I love going back and watching those on YouTube.
Yeah. What was the one with the bass fishing pro guy? Wear the Tennessee hat.
Bill Dance.
Right. My brother loved watching him and fishing because we had a catfish pond in the back. My dad was from the USDA, so we always were into agriculture and things of that nature.
Let's circle back. I got some things I do want to hit, but let's circle back. Let's tell folks about who you are. Tell folks about yourself. Where are you from? How did you get your start in politics? We probably should have done this on the front end, but let's do it.
Hey, we got all morning, But for those who don't know, which I'm sure are a lot of folks out there, I grew up in Central Mississippi. I was born, raised, and educated in Central Mississippi up in Meridian, and I graduated high school from Noxapater High School, small 1A. You know,
I have a hilarious Noxapater story I'll tell you later.
I'm loving to hear it. You know, what is it? Population about 700 now, I believe, or close to it. That's the area my dad hails from, and my mother hailed from Philadelphia, Mississippi. Now, we were just talking about this during the break. So I grew up in a small spot of in Stello, Mississippi, which is Philadelphia, unincorporated, and then Noxapater. They're about 7-8 miles apart. And I graduated high school there, so grew up in the church there, playing piano in the church all the time. It got me out of farm work, so to speak. And later on, I, of course, graduated and attended East Central Community College and graduated in Decatur.
ECCC.
Yeah, man. Warriors. You know, and was down there, and I graduated there. Then I graduated from Jackson State University right after that. Yes, absolutely. You know, my entire family on my mother's side just about graduated from Jackson State University. She was the youngest of 11 children, and about 8 of them, I believe, graduated from Jackson State. And I have a really large family. About almost 40 some odd first cousins.
Now, in fairness, everybody from Mississippi's got a pretty large family.
But I have a really big one. I have about 40 first cousins. I think everybody else probably does too, in some respects.
Trump card. I got about 12 or 13, but I mean, that's solid. That's
like
solid.
I say, hey, we're the same generation. People, you know, believe in family. So you know, I have a cousin that's named after a building named after her on campus and everything. So, and pretty much about 85.
Really?
Yeah. CF Moore Hall, right next to the President's Tower.
Do you remember the gas station? No, it wasn't even a gas station. Do you remember the convenience store on Lynch Street? Everybody called it the Juice. Not the Jew, but the Juice.
The one that would be right now.
Right across from the car wash. If you're coming down Ellis from 80, you take the right on Lynch. It'd be the first store on the left.
I do.
It's called the Shortstop. The name of the store is called the Shortstop.
Now it is.
But it sold draft beer.
Okay.
Remember, it sold like Killing His Red. It sold beer.
Okay.
It sold draft beer.
You're able to get in there?
We owned it.
Oh, is that right?
I grew up on Lynch Street.
You grew up on Lynch Street?
Yeah, my dad owned that store the family owned it from when it was built in the late 50s, early 60s, all the way to when we shuttered it in early 2000. Now, we got out of running it in the mid to late 90s and started leasing the building, and some unfortunate tragedies happened down there with people getting shot, and you know, when we were leasing it to somebody else.
I see.
Just ended up selling the property, but we ran it as a family. You know, well, I guess if we're the same age, you would have missed that store. I'm
right.
thinking, yeah, because I was in high school, I think, or right after high school when we closed it. And you're a couple of years younger than me, so you would have missed it. But the building was still down there. But I spent a lot of time in the 80s and 90s on Lynch Street every day after school. You know, I'm a Jackson State fan. I mean, I'm a Mississippi State fan as far as like my SEC schools.
Sure.
I'm a JSU fan as far as my local.
Right on.
I didn't go to either.
Man, it was in your neighborhood, man.
But it was fun growing up down there, man. Yeah. I mean, I saw people get killed. I've seen all kind of stuff. You know, it changes your perception on things.
It does.
You know, I still hate Jack. I still won't go to Jackson gas stations.
I don't think anybody will. I won't.
No, I won't.
Especially not at night.
Why would you?
Yeah.
Rankin County is 5 minutes away. Go across the bridge, get gas, come back.
And if you're coming from the south, you know, you got Byron and all that other stuff out there.
Yeah,
exactly. You know, my aunt had a home on Pecan Boulevard, which is right off of Lynch Street.
Yeah.
You know, and on the other side of Provine.
Yeah, my dad grew up over there on First Avenue.
Okay.
Right down there.
Okay, yeah. So for the entire time of my childhood, now I lived in Jackson, because my dad, of course, worked for USDA. My mom used to work at St. Dominic in the emergency room, and things of that nature. And so we moved away from Jackson when I was about 6 years old. And that's when we moved to the country.
I got you.
Yeah,
Lucky you.
Yeah, Philadelphia and all that stuff. Dad wanted us to grow up in the country, so we moved back home.
I think you made the right decision.
Well, you know, he did, and it was nothing like it.
Because it gets you away from the outside influences.
It does.
Like I wish
It does.
We moved from like what I call South Jackson, Ellis Avenue, Raymond Road, McDowell Road, that area.
Sure.
We moved from there when I was 14 out to the Elton Road area, which is the exit right before Byram. If you're going south,
right
55,
on, right on.
That area, Forest Hill Road.
Yeah.
That got me a little further out, but I still found my way back to McDowell Road for all the hell raising I wanted, and you know, hanging out with kids I probably shouldn't have been hanging out with, and eventually I became that kid that other kids hung out with that shouldn't be hanging out with.
Sure.
You know, and finally I got my stuff together, but I wish we had moved a little further out, and when we probably should have.
Yeah.
But I say that. But I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I didn't.
Yeah.
Who's to say what wouldn't be better? But you know, as life goes. But
now my aunt I just told you about that. You know, an uncle who had a home on Pecan Boulevard, right by Provine. They had 9 kids. My first cousins.
Wow.
All attend Jackson Public Schools, and about five or six, I would say, at least 5 for sure. Out of that 9 were either salutatorians or valedictorians in their particular home.
And all raised with both parents in the house too, I assume.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's the key.
All 9, same mom and dad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the key.
And something happened.
Right. Well, I had said the other day.
There's a fracture somewhere, and I bet you we can find the line where it happened.
Well, it's about 1967, 1968 post-Lyndon B. Johnson policies.
Yeah.
That's the line, in my perspective.
Sure,
That's when you saw the erosion and breakdown in the black family.
Yeah.
And in other areas of society as well, too.
Yeah,
as a whole.
Yeah. It ain't just the black family. I mean, we focus on that a lot here because we have Jackson. It's this weird microcosm to look at and say, here's where them policies absolutely failed.
It is
I'm
a
sure there's the Delta
socioeconomic
stuff as well.
reality.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. It's not as simple as any one thing, and we all understand that. But man, we'll get to this in the second hour, I'm sure. How do we circle back and try to fix it? But I don't mean to keep stepping on your toes. But I love a good conversation like this.
Me too. I love chopping it up, as you say.
Yeah.
So I know we were talking about my
It's a little
background.
more authentic.
Well, yeah, people are people.
Because you can't fake a conversation.
Let people, right?
Yeah. You can fake answer questions.
Yeah.
You can't fake a real conversation.
No, you can't. Not even on Sunday.
And I get authenticity with you. I like it.
Yeah. Well, I'm just being myself and who I am and who I was raised to be. That's who I am.
I like
right?
it.
But I was in Jackson State. I graduated there in political science. It's a funny story. I had talked about going in politics in high school, early as high school. Now, I was lucky to get out of high school. I graduated with a very low GPA. And mind you, I was at Noxapater High School, 38 kids in my graduating class. Man, I was at the bottom, And it just goes to show, from,
Was it from a lack of effort or was it?
A major lack of effort.
Yeah.
I was a class clown.
Yeah.
Always talking in class. Never took my, studies very seriously. I never failed a grade or anything like that,
Sure.
but didn't take it seriously until my senior year, and I had a great, teacher that came up to me and said, Shuwaski, aren't you going to college? You should be going to college. Your whole family went to college. Why aren't you thinking about college? I said, I'm thinking about college, or I'm thinking about the military one. In fact, I started thinking about both. I did both, right? And
Where'd you serve?
Mississippi Army National Guard.
Thank you for your service.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We have a lot of Mississippi National Guards that listen to the show every day.
Yeah.
And I've done some work with them here recently, and just amazed at those guys. So appreciative of what they do.
It's just amazing what the contribution, whatever's happening. And you can even see that happening down on the border right now. You have
I'm so excited to be excited and about our country again.
It's a sense of pride now.
It truly is.
Right, that people actually can believe in.
This American flag behind me for the last 3 or 4 months, ever since we started streaming, was one of my FAFO flags.
Okay.
And I had this sense of American pride overcome me, and as I pulled my flag down, somebody wanted it. They made a charitable donation for it. And I was like, well, what are we going to hang up back there? I said, I got a flag at my house I'm not using. I want the flag behind me again.
Yeah.
I'm proud of the flag again.
What it represents, what it, has meant for so many people before us now, and what it can continue to mean for us in the future. It is our nationalistic concrete, as I like to call it, what binds all of us. And I think that's something that's missing from today. It's even missing in the way in which we were, raised in our schools. I was just talking with someone the other day about, I brought up the public broadcasting channel and things like that. And what I was also about to say, do you remember we were in school? And now I know they were like, I know you said you're 5 years older than me, so I know they were like doing this when you were in high school as well, too, in elementary. But you would watch shows like Shane. You would watch shows like Where the Red Fern Grows. You would watch these, even Sounder. These particular shows had so many different lessons in them, whether from gender roles or creating a sense of patriotic duty without even actually saying it.
Yeah.
It
was
different.
Grooming in the good sense.
Absolutely. It wasn't pushing you hard.
Yep.
It just was in your face. You could come home and, still watch, the normal stuff like Mama's Family or, DuckTales or something like that. So.
I mean, I'd go down to my dad's store there on Lynch and have a TV up there, and he had a TV back in the office, and I would sit back there and watch like all the reruns of like WKRP in Cincinnati and the Jeffersons.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
all those shows, the little 30-minute shows, Bewitched and all those, just kind of traditional American shows, whether it was white families, black families, whatever. And I just had that ingrained in my brain,
that's the real America.
The real America.
That's actual real America.
It is. Let's take a break real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Come back. We got Shuwaski Young here in the studio. As y'all can tell, man, we're just having a conversation. And it's good to get to know folks like this, man. It really is.
I agree. Like
I said, you can't fake real. And Mr. Shuwaski having a real conversation with us this morning. I'm really excited about it. Y'all stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on WYAB. live on WYAB. We got Shuwaski Young here in the studio with us. If you're not familiar with Shuwaski, he's a former Democrat, ran for office, ran District 3, I believe, against Michael Guest at one point.
That's correct.
That's correct, yeah. Ran against Michael Guest as a Democrat. And you ran for Secretary of State too, right?
I did.
Ended up backing out of that for one reason or another.
Yeah. Well, at that particular time, I did win the Democratic nomination in the primary for that particular race. So thank you for those 183,000 people.
Absolutely. That's a big number no matter what.
Yeah, it's statewide, but man, my health was horrible at the time also. I had just ran a 19-month race, with the congressional race, then of course jumped right into that particular race. And
so the stuff about not being eligible to vote, not being eligible to the 2-year eligibility thing, that's not true.
Yeah. Well, a letter was sent. A letter was sent. Of course, absolutely. A letter was sent from Michael Watson's office, and my attorney here in Jackson. We had grounds, that, in fact, I am, and was, and still is,
eligible.
Well, a resident of Mississippi. That's what the law says, and a citizen of Mississippi. Even my time away from Mississippi, I always maintain residency in Mississippi. My ID was still Mississippi.
Did you vote in California? Is that where
I did vote. Now, that was where a problem was. I did vote into a California election. Of course, at that time, before that, I even worked for the California Democratic Party at some particular extent, and ran some campaigns in California.
How did you not come back from California working in the Democrat Party with your hair purple?
I kept a hat on.
Do you have pronouns in your email?
At one point I did. When I worked for the San Francisco Bar Association, I think that for about a week or two I did have the he, him pronouns. And actually
he, him is acceptable.
Well, if my name was Jamie, for example, and you want to keep people, kind of in line with that. Yeah. I think that, kind of that helps out. But it doesn't have to.
Yeah,
right?
I'm picking at you about the pronouns anyway. You got to fall in line when you're doing stuff like that. I get it.
But to answer your question, even more, there was some questions about residency.
Yeah.
Those questions were answered. A legal document was put forth to the governor, the Secretary of State, and also the Attorney General.
So you were clear to run. You didn't. Yeah, that's not why.
No, I was not. Out. No. We were in process of talking about that.
Okay.
And during that time, hey, I had a hypertensive crisis, man. That kind of, pulled me out of it anyway. So that's where we're at.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're well and everything now, I assume?
Absolutely. Over the course of the last year and a half, almost 2 years now, man, that's all I've been focused on. So at that particular time, my blood pressure went up to 221 over 156. Fell out in Columbus. Wow. In a Mexican restaurant. It was horrible. Spent about 2 days in a Golden Triangle hospital. Couldn't walk for about a week. It was horrible. So take your blood pressure seriously, people.
Look, I'm going to tell you what, man. I knock on wood, I'm a pretty healthy guy. But when my blood pressure gets up, it's the one thing that I know is out of whack. When that gets wonky, it creates this anxiety.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
Everything feels like a panic attack. It's just all this stuff like, what is wrong with me? And it's your blood pressure. But
you can feel it in your eyes.
Your brain doesn't let you know it's your blood pressure.
Yeah.
Even though it's like, take that or whatever you do or whatever. And it's tough, man. I got a doctor on speed dial now, a nurse practitioner or whatever, on speed dial. And hey, man, I think my blood pressure's up, and it kind of walked me through it a little bit.
Yeah. Staying calm, is a major thing. Your diet's a major part of it.
100%.
For me, probably for the rest of my life, I'll be on blood pressure medicine, quite frankly.
I did a bunch of blood work. I take testosterone. So once or twice a year, I have to do blood work. I had to give a little blood, too. But I got the results back the other day. The testosterone levels were bang, bang. And just letting y'all know, pumping through my veins. And my cholesterol was perfect.
Well, that's great.
And it had gotten a little high, and it's come back down and stuff. And I tweaked my diet just a little bit. Still not back to carnivore like I want to be, but I think my carnivore had my cholesterol up a little bit. So 6
eating a lot of meat and stuff like that.
Yeah, eat a lot of meat. Try to cut carbs out. I haven't done that good since Thanksgiving. I've been kind of a bull in a china shop, but I have lost a little weight too.
Yeah,
so
you look good, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
You look good.
We got about 3 minutes for our next break, and the end of the hours are kind of wonky because we run over the first couple of segments. But you talked about growing up there in the country, up in Philadelphia. Man, a lot of and I don't like hearkening on the past too much about racism and stuff, but I don't stick my head in the sand either and ignore what happened in the past.
Sure.
Growing up as a black man up there in East Mississippi and up in the Philadelphia area, Neshoba County area, with with the history there, did you deal with racism? I mean, like just blatant fear for your life type racism?
No, I did not. No, and honest to God, truth, there were moments where, I will say others had let folks know that something had been said to them that was inappropriate and a racial slur.
And I 100% believe that happens.
100% is, of course, right.
I've been around people
but it's never happened to me.
Who have said foul things on both sides, mind you. But
it's never happened to me.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, because you're going to be a representative of the people. You got to be a representative of all the people.
100%.
And not harbor hostilities.
Well, that's the problem right now. We want to hold on to a past that no longer is present and applicable today.
Man, say it again for the people in the back.
Well, we want to hold on to a past that's no longer present and applicable today and use that as a reason not to trust people who don't look like us.
Look, right. My friend, you see his name back here, Kim Wade, has a show here from 4 to 6 daily, and Kim is
he announced for mayor, right?
Yeah, he run for mayor.
Thought so. Yeah.
Kim is nicknamed Radio Strongman, and he's a black man from Jackson. Well, lives in Jackson for a long, long time now, and he talks about it a lot. He's like, man, this civil rights era of politics that people are still trying to run on and go by. He goes, this is just causing, a lot of animosity for no reason. And he can word it way better than I can, but he just drives on a great point. We got to move past that. It's like I told you during the break before we got started that, the way they're doing things in Jackson, for example, using this this racial-based civil rights era politics, they've been doing it that way for the last 30 years, talking about, well, we just need, just give me 4 more years. I'm going to get it fixed this time. Just give us a little bit more. Let's throw a little bit more money at this problem. Let's just get one more NGO. One more, 501(c)(3) getting a little bit of money, just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Now, this ain't working no more. We got to get back to what works. And I believe a guy like Kim didn't mean to turn it into a thing about Kim when I got you on the show, but
no.
But I get
no.
I get the same vibe from you, and what you were talking about with the Neshoba and what you're talking about that kind of stuff ain't working no more. Yeah. We got to move past that. We can't. I wasn't alive then. You wasn't alive then. No. Why are we harboring hostilities over evil atrocities that happened then? And we got to take our break, but that's what I'm going to tell you is that is why I believe, as a white conservative here in Mississippi, I would absolutely 100% knock down anybody standing in front of me and run through a wall to vote for the right black conservative. I think a lot of Mississippians, a lot of people like me, would love the opportunity to do that, to show people we're absolutely not racist. If just not liking Democrats makes me a racist, then I guess I'm a racist in that sense, but absolutely not a racist towards black people. Yeah. By no means. I would love the opportunity to go vote for a black man, the right black man that has the same beliefs and stuff that I do. And I think there's a lot of Mississippians, especially here in central Mississippi. I can't speak for the rest of the state, but I know my brothers and sisters here would 100% run through a wall to vote for the right person. And race has nothing to do with it.
I don't know how much time we have.
I'll give you 20 seconds.
Okay. I think that and I'll pick up when we come back with this on this point. I think that where we are right now, we are closer than we have ever been. And that's because of the work that black folks did and white folks did together to get us where we are today. Fighting and relitigating these same arguments, I think, impedes on their accomplishments and impedes on the past of where we have already come from.
I like it. We'll be right back.
Yeah, man, I mean.
Here with Shuwaski Young. We've got about 10 seconds here. Guys, don't go anywhere. We will be right back. We got a whole another hour to go. Online audience, we may jump in and do a couple little questions and answers with you guys. Don't go anywhere. Here, online audience, since y'all are staying on and we got nice little size of people listening, let's chop it up here with my new friend, Mr. Shuwaski Young. If you got any questions you would like to ask, I would love to hear them here or see them in the comments section. Let's see here, just kind of going through. Not a whole lot of comments this morning. We got some JSU fans in the house.
All right.
We got some JSU fans in the house.
I love.
See when people call me when I'm on the radio. Let's see here. All right, we'll just pick this up, man, the conversation we were having.
Sure.
I was telling Mr. Young during that last break, that we've I guess what we ended the original segment talking about. I think white conservatives would love to vote for a black conservative.
Yeah,
because I feel like it would be us having the opportunity to rubber stamp and show, hey man, we're not racist.
Yeah.
We will absolutely. It's politics. I'm not going to vote for a Democrat in a statewide election.
Yeah.
I ain't going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't like the Democrat policy, and too many Democrats have gotten hitched to the national agenda, and that's why I felt like you left the Democrats.
Well, it absolutely is, and that's what I, first and foremost talked about, that, before I left the party left me, because it left Mississippi values, it left what we all thought were things we all understood and grew up in here in Mississippi. But I absolutely believe 100% of what you're talking about. When I decided to join the Republican Party, I immediately was reached out to with open arms with Republicans across the state.
Oh, yeah.
Senator Roger Wicker was the first person, actually, one of the first people, but certainly, sitting in high office, that directly reached out to me and gave me a call and said, hey, I heard something from a little birdie.
Yeah.
I want to meet with you. And a couple of weeks later, we were sitting down in Jackson, talking about, the party and him welcoming me with open arms. And it's been the same thing ever since.
I think you have potential to do some really good stuff. You do, because like I said, there's a lot of us that would love the opportunity to prove a point. And if all things being equal, white or black, to have a real choice to make, and to show, hey man, it ain't race I'm voting on here, it's party I'm voting on. It's
100%.
But if I don't have that opportunity to ever show that at the polls, that's not my fault that somebody hadn't run or somebody's not willing to jump in head first and run, as a Republican. And I don't know, you haven't made your plans for the future yet, I know, but I'm just saying that I think the future could be very bright for you if you chose to.
Well, 2 points. One.
If the district's right, statewide election, you ain't gonna come to Jackson and win a Republican race. I mean,
no. I'm looking forward to going back again this year. Scott Bounds, who's a representative, is the president of the Shelby County Fair Association, and a great guy.
Yeah. So, like I said, we got to spend some time with the mayor of Oxford and her husband in their cabin.
Okay.
Good folks there.
Okay.
And then the Dees family are friends of mine, and they've had a cabin up there for forever. It's one of the main, when you're walking in the entrance, it's one of those on the right there.
Okay.
At the entrance of the fair. And so you kind of get to sit there and watch the entrance and people coming in and out.
They're
and stuff.
beautiful.
I love people watching.
I'm looking forward to meeting folks in the Dees family.
They're good folks, man. I know they're from up there in that area. I talked to you off air about them. I know Laura and got to know her family pretty well over the last couple of years. Yeah. And just good people. Welcome with open arms. All right, we're getting ready to come back from break, so you guys stay tuned. Boom, shakalaka boom. You've tuned in. It's hour 2 of the most incendiary show on all of radio. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards. We're on 103.9 FM WYAB. I call it the Big Stick, the little, as Mike Madison called it, our little First Amendment outpost here in Flora, Mississippi, bumping all across the airwaves throughout the Tri-County area on 103.9 FM. We're streaming worldwide in stunning 4K video at Save JXN on Facebook, YouTube, X, Rumble, and, of course, TikTok. We have somehow not got kicked off TikTok with this incendiary content, and I don't know how, but I'm glad because we've got about 88,000 people over there tuned in. So
wow.
It's good stuff there on TikTok. That's why I'm glad it stuck around. So, look, man, I said I had a big concert announcement, and that is going to happen now. I've been teasing this online. It's the worst-kept secret. My good friends, 12 Stones, big rock band, have gotten back together. We're not doing the full band. We're doing the acoustic version of the show. And I've teamed up, I've crossed the aisle, so to say. I've teamed up with the new rock station in town, Rock 93.1. We're doing this together. It's going to be 12 Stones, live, unplugged. Well, it's Paul and John from 12 Stones, the singer and the guitar player, live at McBee's on Friday, March 7th. But that ain't it. But wait, there's more. Just like my old guy selling the seals of Billy Mays. But wait, there's more. Unplugged, Jackson favorites, Storage 24 are going to be stripping it down and playing live. And man, they sell this place out every time they play by themselves. But wait, there's more. We're throwing a little wrinkle into this thing. I didn't book a third hard rock band. I booked a good southern rock country band that also is going to pack the place out any other time. Burnham Road is going to strip it down and play acoustic also. They're going to play a little bit more rock and sit than normal. But Laura Lee and TJ are going to be there also unplugged. And who knows what other surprises may pop off. We got a whole night to fill. I may add another acoustic act or two. Tickets will be on sale tomorrow. And I'll get all that information out there to you. But just circle the date. 12 Stones featuring Grammy award-winning lead singer Paul McCoy. That's right. You remember Paul? He was on Evanescence's huge song, Bring Me to Life. 12 Stones sold over 2 million records back when people still sold records. Paul from Florence, Mississippi, living down in Mandeville, Louisiana for the last while, but he grew up in Florence, Mississippi, so is our native son. I brought these guys to town 6 or 7 times back in the day. First time they'd ever been to Jackson was at one of my clubs. They hadn't played together in over 5 years, hadn't been to Jackson in 7 or 8 years. So it's going to be a homecoming of sorts. Big show at McBee's out there on the patio. Only holds about 150 people, and that's buttholes to elbows. So when tickets go on sale, get your ticket because I do not imagine there will be any available at the door. We need a sellout. If you guys keep telling me you want a rock show, Clay wants some rock music. I want some rock music. All right, we're bringing you a hard rock show. We've teamed up with another rock station to do it, and I'm really excited about it. So I hope you guys will come out and support it. I told you if more than 100 people showed up to my birthday party, a free show, that I would bring a rock show to town. You guys showed up. Over about 125 showed up for my birthday party. So I'm bringing you a rock show. Tickets are going to be around $20. I'll get the to the penny details worked out today. And that's a lot of bang for the buck. You can't do about anything for $20. They charge you $20 just to get in a nightclub with no entertainment, nothing but a DJ nowadays. So you're getting 3 bands at least. Looking forward to it. Friday, March 7th, McBee's, 7 o'clock. Doors will open. Of course, McBee's will be open all day. So go in there, show up early, sit down, enjoy some food, and then get ready to come out on the patio. It's covered. It's heated. If it's cold outside, they got heaters and all that. If it's warm, they got fans. Don't worry about the weather. It's not going to be a factor. Looking forward to it. 12 Stones, Friday, March 7th. Special guest, Storage 24 and Burnham Road. All acoustic, stripped down. Going to be a good time. All right. Here in the studio, Mr. Shuwaski Young, former Democrat, now conservative. Ran for a couple statewide offices. Not statewide. Ran for District 3 congressman. Right. Which would have put him in D.C., and he ran for Secretary of State. Here in the last couple go-rounds. He has since converted. I wouldn't say converted. He just shook off that title as Democrat and is sticking to his roots, and he tells us he's a conservative and has conservative values, and I tend to believe him. You can't fake real. And we've had a real conversation for the last hour. We had a little conversation there during the break. He hails from, for the lack of a better term, Philadelphia, Mississippi, Neshoba County. For the most part. Got some Jackson roots, too.
Yeah. Noxapater. Yeah.
I told him my Noxapater street sign story. Still didn't quite get it in my grasp, but maybe one day I'll end up with that Noxapater street sign that I've been coveting since the Howlin' Miles Depot days.
Here.
But Mr. Young,
sir.
So we hit this at the end of the hour, and we kind of talked about it online, but for our radio audience that didn't get to hear, one of the things I said is as a white conservative growing up in Mississippi, especially a Gen Xer, we've tried to break these chains and of being called racist and what happened in the past, and we didn't do that. We don't want to be blamed for that. We don't want to continue to carry that on. And I think one of the ways that we can put an explanation point at the end of that sentence is having the opportunity to vote for a strong black conservative in a statewide election or a Congress or Senate type election, because I think that would prove to people, and not do it just because. I mean, it's got to be the right person, running. But, that right person is you. I think it would be a great opportunity for people to do that. And cause people are tired of it. People are tired of constantly, being blamed for the past without the opportunity to show that ain't who we are.
Right. Well, I think that
we need our black brothers and sisters who are conservative to step up and put themselves out there and not worry about the Uncle Tom stuff and all that stuff that comes with that. I hear, and my buddy Kim Wade gets it all the time. My black conservative friends, they get it all the time. It's like if you're not down with the stay down,
You're not one of us anymore.
Yeah. It's like, I'm sorry, I wanted to do better for myself.
Well, look, I'll tell you.
Why is that a bad thing?
100%. And doing better for myself means getting my sleep at night because I'm being honest with myself.
Yeah.
Having the courage to actually say what I actually really believe and be authentic with that. Look, I'll tell you, over the course of the last 3 months, I'd say, folks, really look at this and say, oh, man, you flipped now. Your views have changed. You've changed what you actually believe in. When in fact, even during the time when I was actually running, many folks thought, hey, you actually sound like a Republican, to be honest with you. And then later on, after those elections, I think it was as late as or early as November 2023, I talked about conservatism being the forefront of my political thought right now. I talked about the fallacies in my unconstrained vision of liberalism, which I wrote about in the Clarion Ledger, which I oftentimes will put an op-ed in the Clarion Ledger and talk about political issues and explain these things.
Yeah, I recommend you guys finding that. I'll drop it in the link in the comment section of this interview here on Facebook. So I recommend y'all checking out that Clarion Ledger op-ed. It's really good.
Yeah, it's that one, and it's also more recently, I'm a Republican, and also, me talking about conservative values being the place in which I think is best for not only the black community, but the state of Mississippi and the country as a whole. Right. But look, over the course of my career from, leaving Knox Upata to leaving Jackson State University, majoring in political science, I've worked in government and politics my entire career. I've done nothing else. Right. It's what I love to do. It's what I don't even consider it's work, because it's what I love, quite frankly. And I've worked in Democratic politics for most of that time. I will say that. And I've worked for some of the most highly recognizable people in our country, from President Barack Obama and Secretary Hillary Clinton. I know Nancy Pelosi in the past. I've known Barbara Lee in the past. I've known Gavin Newsom in the past. I've known even the current sitting Attorney General of California right now, Rob Bonta, in the past, and other folks down the list. And I have knocked on more doors, and I have made more phone calls, and I have registered thousands of voters, I'm sure more so than any of my critics, right, as far as what I've done to try to advance civic engagement and also patriotism in this particular country. And over the course of the last 3 months, when I made the announcement of my deciding to leave the Republican Party, from my own community, and even folks and sometimes my own family, sadly, and me and Gerard Gilbert talked about this on Middays at Super Talk. The vitriolic reaction from that, was not only unsettling, but it was disappointing. But it also gave me more fuel that, hey, I must be doing something right, and I'm staying true to my convictions. And regardless of what they say, I'm going to stick to my positions, and it's not going to matter. But folks out there may not know this, but my grandfather was a civil rights leader in Neshoba County. He was a president of the NAACP in Neshoba County during, the aftermath of the 1964 civil rights slaying. We had crosses burnt in our yard. My grandfather had very close relationships with the governor during that particular time, the white community, and also the black community as well. And my other grandfather was a World War II vet. So I grew up with this sense of community and respect and responsibility in the first place. So these types of arguments that are being put forth right now, as far as the Republicans paid me to switch over to the Republican Party, you're a sellout to your own community, Fannie Lou Hamer's rolling over in our grave. You wouldn't believe the things that people would actually say.
Oh, yes, I would.
But I'll tell you, it's not something that, makes you feel good on the inside, but it also is something that helps make your skin a little bit thicker when you know that you're being honest with yourself.
Yeah, but it proves the point.
It does.
It does. It proves the point. Well, and I'm glad we circled back to this, because I kind of forgot to go back to this point that I wanted to bring up, and it was me growing up in the black community and in and out of the black homes of my friends for so long, and understanding the conservative values that are taught in those homes, but somehow they're still voting Democrat.
Right.
And I just wanted, just looking at the policies that the Democrats are shoving down our throats, refusing to acknowledge the difference in a man and a woman, being the abortion conversation.
On demand, on the hill.
Yep. Yeah. Up to point of conception, up to point of birth.
Yeah.
Just so much crazy stuff.
Boys playing girls sports, bathrooms, restrooms. It's just ridiculous.
The rainbow supremacy agenda.
Yeah.
As I call them, rainbow supremacists.
That is interesting.
I had to come up with a name.
That's a great play on words, actually.
It's the rainbow. Well, they call us white supremacists. Every time we disagree with, you're a white supremacist. I'm like, well, you're a rainbow supremacist.
Right.
And you think that, you're supreme above all else. And they've replaced religion. And this is the part that gets me the most with the black community, knowing how I know them from being Christian, from being conservative, from being so close to God, and the place of the black church. For sitting there and backing a party that despises religion and God and all of that, and puts sexual orientation above and beyond everything else. That is the number one thing in the Democrat Party.
Makes you burn.
Even above race. Yeah. And that's saying something, because that's been their go-to for so long, is the LGBTQ stuff is their number one hill to die on right now. And I just know that does not represent the greater black community.
It does not represent the greater black community, but I will tell you this, and this is a conversation that I think is important, for so long, especially since the 1960s. And I would say about the 1960s, before there was a major switch before that. Probably before that, most black folks were Republican anyway, right? Yeah. There has been an allegiance to a Democratic Party based on this idea of progress that has never actually revealed itself to the most extent. Of course, those policies were bipartisan that helped everyone advance, and those particular Democratic policies have not been as beneficial to the black community as folks like to believe. And the second part of that is our commitment as in the black community to the Democratic Party has been one of ill advisement, for far too long. And we're not willing to admit that. We are actually in the position right now where, just like you said, we're holding up for things that we don't generally believe in and don't traditionally believe in and have never traditionally believed in. In fact, things that would get you set on the back row of the church and certainly kicked out of the choir stand if you were to be out of order in this way, right? And these are things that we need to be honest about. These are things that folks need to hear. It's not the overarching belief of our community. And that's why I'm happy to be talking about it now, because I would sit down, even before this election. I had said long ago I wasn't going to be voting for Kamala Harris, right? And I would talk to women in my family, and I would say, do you believe in abortion? No, we don't believe in abortion. We don't believe in abortion. We believe in responsibility and accountability for your actions. And if you go out there and you get pregnant early, it's your responsibility to make everything stop, get a job, take care of that kid, right? And you and that man, you try to figure it out and be together, right? And hopefully not have a out of wedlock child. That has been the going rate of responsibility and perspective of the black community, and it still is. However, somehow, what about, cases of rape, incest, or women's health? Of course, that Democrats and Republicans believe the same thing on that note, right? And that is the law right now. What is not agreeable is just on demand, when we want to couch the conversation into this women's health care funnel. When what we're really talking about is abortion on demand.
100%.
And that's wrong. That's liberals and far left progressive trying to outsmart people with language such as DEI, such as
Planned Parenthood.
Absolutely. So, and where your taxpayer dollars paying for it, for a lack of responsibility. And number two, it's us believing in a sense that, hey, we don't want our guns taken away. Everybody that I know in Mississippi likes guns. Everybody that I know in Mississippi likes to go hunting.
Yeah.
And
that's not a party affiliation.
No.
Argument.
It's a normal thing. And I, for one, had, been along this perspective long ago, never to take away anybody's guns, never to talk about anything going away with the Second Amendment rights, but also what should be legal and what should not be legal, right? Such as AR-15s and things of this nature. And then I came to the conclusion, it's not a fully automatic weapon. It's no different than me having a 7mm or a 30-06 or something like that. In fact, that's a higher grade anyway. If you really want the truth, the bullet certainly costs a heck of a lot more, So I own one, and also a 9mm as well. But I think that those are things that we don't believe as well, too. And we don't believe that, boys should be in girls' bathrooms. We don't believe that, God makes mistakes like this as far as saying, oh, you're a transgender and it's not by choice.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that we have to be honest about those things. And that doesn't make anybody homophobic, transphobic, or bigot, or anything else of the like. And we also have to admit that at the end of the day, some of these socioeconomic ills that are out there are no different than any other community's socioeconomic ills. It is not because of the man, so to speak, keeping people down. It's because of personal behavior and lack of responsibility.
Hold that thought.
And that's where we are.
Hold that thought. We got to take a break. I love it. This is Shuwaski Young on the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back on 103.9 FM, WYAB. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. This segment brought to you by our friends over at A1 Gear and Auto. Guys, if you're having any automotive issues, swing by A1 Gear and Auto, Florence, Mississippi. They can take care of any of your automotive repair needs. Whether it's an alternator, a battery, brakes, or a complete engine rebuild, they got you. But what they specialize in is your ring and pinion. Hey, look, I ain't got to tell you. When your ring and pinion messes up, you'll be the first to know it. You may be like, well, Clay, I don't even know what that means. I get it. A lot of you don't until it tears up, and you're going to find out real quick, and you're going to be like, man, who can fix this ring and pinion stuff? That's your front end. That's your rear end. That's the stuff that makes the power to the wheels turn around. Spin down the road, for lack of a better term. You go out and you buy these new trucks, these new Jeeps especially, and you go jack them up with these big wheels and tires on them. You're like, man, this thing can't pass a car. I'm having a hard time getting the speed to merge onto the interstate. Well, that's because those factory gears in that vehicle were not built for those new 23, 24-inch wheels, those new 40-inch tires. You need to get by A1 Gear and Auto. Let them get the right ring and pinion up in there for you. You got to do it in the front and the back if you want your four-wheel drive to work. You can't be cheap like I used to and just put it in the back. You got to do the front too if you do a ring and pinion upgrade. But I digress. A1 Gear and Auto can handle all that for you. They're going to fix it right the first time. They're going to diagnose it right the first time, and it's going to be fixed right on time. And that is one of the most important factors when you're down a vehicle, is knowing how long you're going to be down that vehicle. Justin and his team got you covered. A1 Gear and Auto, Florence, Mississippi. We got a call here on the Mazda of Jackson phone line. We got Mr. Shannon had a word for Mr. Shuwaski Young. Shannon, you're on there, brother.
Hey, Mr. Young, I just want to call in
Shannon.
and say it's refreshing to hear a voice like you from the Democratic Party come in and speak, good stuff. I feel
formally,
like it's
formerly Democrat Party.
What now?
He's formally from the Democrat Party.
Yeah, I got you. But it's just refreshing to hear it, and I feel like we need more voices like yours, to speak up and to move us forward. So I just wanted to call and say thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Shannon. Where are you calling in from this morning?
I'm actually between Bay Springs and Taylorsville, but
Gotcha. Okay.
It's just refreshing,
Thank you very much.
I feel like that party has gone so far to the left that I can't even pay attention to it.
I agree with you.
You know what
brother.
I mean? Like
Absolutely.
I can't even hear it.
I think a lot of other folks feel the same way.
So anyway, just call and compliment you. Say thank you for being a strong conservative voice.
Here. Thank you very much for calling in, sir. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
Thanks,
Thank
Shannon.
you.
Have a blessed day, brother. Appreciate the call.
All right.
Yeah, Shannon been trying to get through for a minute now, so he was feeling very, very passionate. He was intent on make sure we got that through, and I'm glad he did.
That's a blessing.
I'm glad
really
he called
appreciate
back
it.
because
I really appreciate it.
I think this is what people want to hear. These are the conversations people want to hear. You and I talked off break. I said I told you about a buddy. I don't want to name him on air, but
Yeah.
he told me a while back that, well, Clay, you're going to have some tough conversations. And it's a black guy, and I knew what that tough conversation meant. And he wanted me to admit that everything wrong in the community, in the black community, is because of racism and because of things that happened in the past, and we must atone for those. And for me, I think having the fear that having a racial conversation about race is so taboo that people think it's racist to even have an open conversation
About reality. Right.
And we got to get back to being able to have those conversations where we're not throwing names at each other, because the second you call me racist, I'm out.
Well, of course, right.
You know, like you've lost it. You've gone to the bottom of the barrel, and you have no argument. And the second you call me a racist instead of a realist,
Right.
I'm gonna be a realist, and the real can be hard,
Right.
and it can be harsh, and it can have some racial undertones, because that's just life. But that doesn't make somebody a racist because you're acknowledging reality.
No, it doesn't. And it basically discounts the other person's, humanity quite frankly. And I think that one of the things that is important in these particular conversations is a sense of honesty, right? And the sense of honesty starts with the fact that personal responsibility is the first and foremost element to personal success and family success and a foundational way in which we actually view the world. That's the great thing about America, right? That's the great thing about living in a capitalistic society, right? And that's the great thing about being able to pursue the American dream. No one person and no one group can hinder you from actually doing that. And I think that, of course, we have a dark past in our country. And of course, our state in particular has had its own part in that particular history. But what people have been able to accomplish since those times and where we are right now is being far more understated than it should be, And I think that when we think about who we work with on a daily basis, whether you're working in a state government agency or you're working at a radio station or you're working at the car wash or Walmart, you are working in the same type of element that it was when you were actually going to school. Black folks and white folks together, playing sports together, winning state championships together, losing state championships together. And somehow when we get older, having the same values, believing in the same, usually Baptist religion, we forget the fact that we're the same because of what outside influences actually arise, and also what our histories have sometimes allowed us not to be able to forgive, and not to be able to see fit that we are in a different time now. The political dogmas of conversations of yesterday are not the same ones today, and I personally think that having been someone who has now been attacked from my own community, people who I know that they know me. You know me.
Yeah.
You know me. Forget what was said in an article or where I was on a stage. And I'm pretty sure if I was on stage and said something, I meant it. And you still, which is further evidence that you know me, but you grew up with me. And this idea to have a perspective about me that you know not to be true is only rooted in your own, I think, fear of recognizing the fact that all of this, most of this, is pretty much in our own control to be able to improve our lives if we want to actually do so. And it can't be, at the risk of a new government program.
Hold that thought. When we come back, I want to circle back to our other off-air conversation about the Democrats' attack on masculinity.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah.
I think this is something that we can all get together on.
Sure.
And I think this is what's pushed so many black men over to the conservative party because, I can only take so much. Guys, this Friday night and Saturday night, Martin's downtown are throwing DC National Rodeo after parties. Friday night, you got my good friends in Burnham Road. That's right, Burnham Road, the full band will be playing live at Martin's downtown for Valentine's post-rodeo after party. Going to be a heck of a time down there. And then, hey, it ain't just Friday night. Turning right back around Saturday night, the one, the only Jason Miller Band. That's right, my good buddy Jason. I love all these folks, man. I don't throw the term good buddy around loosely. Actually, I really do because I like everybody. Everybody knows Clay Edwards loves everybody. But look, no, the Jason Miller Band live at Martin's Saturday night, Burnham Road live Friday night. They're turning it up country down there at Martin's downtown this Friday and Saturday night for the Dixie National after parties. And hey, look, I can't talk about Martin's without talking about the Blue Plate specials. If you're looking for somewhere to eat today for lunch, Martin's, whether it's the Livingston location or the legendary downtown location since 1953, the Blue Plate special of the day is fried or grilled pork chop. Me and my buddy Fred Shanks ate down there last Monday and both got the fried pork chop. It's as good as the country fried steak. I said it out loud. It's as good as the country fried steak. Get down to Martin's today, Livingston or Jackson. And don't forget, rodeo after parties. This Friday night, Burnham Road. Saturday night, it's Jason Miller Band. We'll be right back with Shuwaski Young talking about the Democrats' attack on testosterone. We'll be right back.
Man, I love country fried steak.
Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here with Shuwaski Young on 103.9 FM WYAB. I got a lot of people in the comments asking, is Mr. Shuwaski running for mayor of Jackson? Guys, he is not running for not running for mayor of Jackson. We are just chopping it up. I believe if Mr. Young runs for anything again, it'll be a statewide office. He has recently converted from the Democrat Party to the conservative Republican side of things. And what his future holds, we don't know yet, but we're excited to have him over here on the home team. So welcome, Mr. Young, to the Republican Party.
Well, thank you very much.
This segment is perfect. Y'all know we're talking about low testosterone and the Democrats going on an attack against masculinity and testosterone. So no better time to tie in my Men's Health in Mississippi folks and the free testosterone screenings that we're offering out there at Men's Health in Mississippi. All you got to do is text my name, Clay, to pull the number up here on the screen, to 601-327-8550. Some of the symptoms of low T could be fatigue, decreased muscle tone, lack of energy, low libido, that's your sex drive, brain fog, sleep disturbances, lack of the morning wood. Yeah, I said it. And voting Democrat. Those are all symptoms of low testosterone. And we can help get you back on track by getting your complimentary testosterone screening today. Text my name, Clay, to 601-327-8550. Got to throw that in every now and then. You know, it's
I love it.
This is real, though. All joking aside, it's so ridiculous that people think I'm BSing. It is proven that the higher your testosterone level is, the more likely you are to vote conservative.
I think I heard that.
Somebody did a study on this
I've
thing, and it came out not too long ago. I was like, makes sense.
I think when I was a Democrat, I may have been watching like MSNBC, and they were making fun of it.
Yeah.
So on the opposite. But
Yeah.
I do remember the study.
Yeah, so I thought it was kind of funny. But so true story there. So it explains a lot. It especially ties into what we're about to talk about here.
Yep.
Is the Democrats' attack on masculinity, an attack on testosterone. And I was telling you, I listened to a guy who was on the PBD podcast, and I can't remember his name. Sean, if you're still listening, what was that Democrat's name that was on PBD podcast the other day? They were talking about this, and he said, I was watching the Democrat convention and got to thinking, man, if you're a blue collar dude, white, black, it doesn't matter, gay, straight, irrelevant. If you're just a blue collar dude that gets out there, works with his hands, and works hard every day. Is there anybody on that stage that you feel like represents you?
Absolutely not.
And there's not.
Yeah.
Everything is black women, very, very unattractive white women, gay,
Hispanics.
and trans, and just very effeminate males.
Absolutely.
And where's the man? Like
Well, I think
the OG man. And I'll give you 1 second here. You know, because going back to growing up in Jackson like I did around so many black folks, dude, I know the black man. I mean, like that's a dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's a man. Ain't taking no crap. Usually very muscular, masculine, all that stuff. And I'm like, I know these dudes ain't co-signing on this.
No.
And that's the majority of the black community. Like is the black man. That is the boat anchor, not the black woman. It's the man is the anchor of that community. Yeah. And somehow the woman has taken over and convinced everybody that this is the right direction. Yeah. And it is driving the community off a cliff.
I think you do talk to a lot of black people. You must do.
Oh, absolutely.
You must do. Because this is exactly the going conversation. But it's a conversation that black men are having amongst themselves and are not choosing to share broadly.
Well, I get a lot of black men reach out to me because they want to talk to somebody.
Right.
Yeah. They may not agree with all my politics,
right?
But they want somebody to talk to.
Another man, right?
Yeah, another man to talk to.
Exactly.
Like, look, this stays between us. But
here's how we feel, right?
Yeah.
Look, here's the point. For quite some time in the Democratic Party, you have seen a uprising in feminism and a uprising in LGBTQIA plus. I had to practice
rainbow
on that.
supremacy.
I had to practice on the alphabet.
Yeah. I quit. That's why I did rainbow supremacy.
Yeah, and black men have been left behind. Masculinity has been left behind. It has been viewed through these new words that don't mean anything and aren't true. They are a facade, such as masculine toxic masculinity, and it's ridiculous. We are going to penalize you for being what God created you to be. A provider, a protector, and a person who should stand out front, and a person who should support their family, and a person who should support their community and protect their nation. And that is where we are. And when you look at, as we were talking about, something such as like the new DNC chairs and things of that nature, you saw it. Mm-hmm. You had, I think, one woman of color who could be black. She may be biracial, of course, but one Hispanic woman. And as far as a black man, he was gay. quite frankly.
Very emasculated.
Very emasculated, and you know what? At the end of the day, it's fine if he wants to be gay, but that means, once again, black men are being left out of the equation, right?
And strong white men are too.
But white men are too.
They jumped off the ship a long time ago.
Rightfully so. And I think that more black men, well, we saw this in the Trump election, more black men, more Hispanic men, more even white men who were moderates or Democrats,
and we have
voted conservative.
And a lot of, what I call, straight up gay dudes, like normal gay dudes, have left the Democrat Party too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot. It ain't just, it's a wide swath of people have felt that the party went too far left of them.
And they no longer identify with it. And at the end of the day, what we're seeing right now is a conversation where men are sometimes afraid to have these conversations because they don't want to get into these arguments, right? Yeah. And oftentimes,
that's what I said about the tough conversations. It ain't just about race
right.
all the time either. It's about
comfortability,
yeah.
And another part of it is these are not conversations that are being led by married black women. These are conversations that are being led by usually unmarried with child women. Mm-hmm. That is a very big difference in a conversation where you're talking about a married woman who has responsibilities to her husband, also her family, her prior family of before marriage and things of that nature. They don't have time for those types of games.
Well, you remember the commercial that they ran for Kamala during the election? They had the two white women with their, what you would see, typical male Trump-supporting husband, and them going in the booth and winking at each other like, it's okay to do what you want to do.
Liz
you don't have
Cheney
to do what your husband wants to do type stuff. Trying to say it's okay. No, that's the single woman.
You're breaking up trust between families. What are you doing?
That's the single woman trying to tell you to vote her way because angry cat lady is miserable and misery loves company.
Right. And somehow we're going to demonize saying that when it's actually reality. And we didn't come up with it. They did. I think that where we are right now is a situation where men are going to have to step up. Black men are going to have to just be honest and step up again and start saying outwardly what they're thinking inwardly. That's the same true in a DEI conversation. When they were talking about DEI and things of that nature, look, many of my friends are engineers and they're attorneys and, were trying to get into corporate America and they couldn't, but somehow they were hiring black women, right? Goldman Sachs and other private equity funds put up $1 billion to say, we're going to hire more black women. And black women then come out and say, hey, well, you got to hire black men too. They didn't think about that because they weren't concerned with that because they know that affects black families as well too. So where we are right now, I think is why you're seeing more black men come over to the Republican side or conservative values. I think you'll continue to see that because they are now feeling more comfortable in their masculinity. And that's what we're seeing today. And I think that's why the numbers are driving the way they are.
And we welcome y'all.
Yeah,
with open arms.
Yeah.
I mean, truly do, and I'm glad. I mean, look, I've had a lot of sticks, stones, and things thrown at me the last few years for standing on this hill. And look, man, I'm just glad people are coming around and seeing it for what it is. I had a local black business owner reach out to me in a private message Friday morning, about 6 a.m, and just really gave me some great words of encouragement, and said, just keep doing what you're doing. Real men. Black, we see you.
Understand real men.
Yeah, and man, it really moved me. I never met this man in person, but followed him online and really liked what he was doing. So when I left here Friday, I went by his business.
Oh, okay.
And I sat down and talked with that man for an hour.
Yeah.
And just chopped it up, and it was really good. And then coming on the heels of this conversation that I knew I was going to have with you today.
Yeah.
And I want to do more of these. And I want, I think they had a movement in the, I don't know if it was a Republican or Democrat movement, but it was called the Walk Away campaign, where it was like the Gays Against Groomer bunch and all these. It was the gays leaving the Democrat Party. Mm-hmm. I think we need to have a walk away for black men leaving the Democrat Party and coming over here, and and welcoming these folks with open arms. Let them know, man, we are glad to have you here. I want you in my foxhole because we're going to be Operation Human Shield when the crap hits the fan. Anyway. But whether you
all the men are going to be fighting to stay the country together.
Whether you got an R or D by your name,
ain't going to matter.
It ain't going
to matter.
We might as well, sort out our differences and have some tough conversations now instead of when we're having to, fight somebody else.
But here's the thing. One, I agree that needs to happen. Two, I'm hoping I could play a part in that particular role of helping making it happen.
I hope so.
And 3, I think it's going to be able to separate the real from the fake, because you have so many folks in the Democratic Party who happen to be black men. I know that they don't believe what they are putting forth. And if they do, then that's an even bigger problem.
Yep.
And I'm talking about those in the state legislature. I'm talking about those in the House and the Senate. I don't have to call their names. I know who they are. I know they won't get into a debate with me. I do know this, And if they do, that'd be great, because I love to have that conversation with them, because I don't think you're going to be able to hold up behind those words.
I have a debate with Mr. Blackman about conception from erection.
I think that was a waste of taxpayer time and money.
I'm glad it gave me something to talk about for a couple days.
It's funny.
It's funny. It shouldn't have.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that you talk about but don't actually do.
Yeah.
And he got national attention for it.
For all the wrong reasons.
For all the wrong reasons. I wish he would have been able to work with the Republicans on something that I think would be important.
Yep.
And this is something that I talked about with Republicans across the state that may or may not be something that Republicans want right now. Look, I think...
Hold that thought. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll land the plane. We'll be right back with Shuwaski Young here on the Clay Edwards Show. All right, online audience, I didn't mean to cut y'all out of that conversation. We were just making fun of this conception from erection act as we get ready to come back and land the plane for the day. Mr. Young, we got about 2 or 3 minutes before we come back from the break. You want to tell everybody online how they can find you, follow you, all that good stuff?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So these folks are on all social media right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So on Facebook, that's I think one of the biggest ones, especially if you're right here in Mississippi. Everybody's on Facebook.
It is. Everybody. The normies are on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's the place I do my
Shuwaski Young for Mississippi.
Shuwaski Young.
And, I'd love for you to go to Shuwaski Young for Mississippi and follow that page. That's where I'll be doing a lot of updates.
For the benefit of those that is an unfamiliar name, will you just spell your first name for them?
Sure. It's SHUWASKI.
Spells like it sounds. It really does.
They did a good job on that. Last name, of course, is Young, and that's for Mississippi. Shuwaski Young for Mississippi. Again, that's SHUWASKI.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you. So that's Facebook, and you're on X and everywhere else. Same.
On Twitter, it's just my first and last name again, Shuwaski Young.
Yep.
Instagram is the same, Shuwaski Young.
He's fine. So, what is next for you, man? You got anything you're working on? I mean,
yeah, sure. Right now, I'm just going around the state, singing the good news. Basically right there. I'll be making some national appearances pretty soon on Fox, I believe. Still waiting on that to be booked. That's going to happen. And I'm just looking, to see how I can serve.
Yeah. Well, look, man, we'll come back and we'll have about a minute on the radio or 30 seconds on the radio. But I wanted to have a little extended goodbye here for the online audience, because this will be available. It ain't going nowhere. People will go back and watch this throughout the day, next couple of days. So I think we got a good evergreen interview here that I can rerun this show too.
Okay, awesome.
So it'll be a good show to plug in on a day off, and I really appreciate what you're doing. It takes a lot to stand up against the way you've been raised, and not the way you've been raised, but you know what I mean. What you've been doing for so long, the Democrat Party, to step out as a black man in Mississippi from the Democrat Party it's easy for me to say do it. Yeah. But it's not me that has to live amongst everybody who thinks differently than me.
Yeah.
So I get it. Look, we're about to come back from the break here. Online audience, I'm going to go in and clip y'all off, man. I appreciate everybody. Do your research on Mr. Young, and I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with for the next as long as he wants to. We'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, welcome back in. Man, we got about 20 seconds. Mr. Young, thank you so much. Y'all can find him at Shuwaski Young for Mississippi on Facebook, and if you're on X or Twitter or whatever, it's just Shuwaski Young. We really appreciate you coming in today, man.
Thank you so much.
Consider this an open invitation moving forward. We'd love to have you back on the show. Guys, I'll be back here tomorrow, 7 to 9. Peace.